this is the phases, stages, levels, and biofields class. And so what I'm going to be going over is a lot of what we're doing and what we're looking at when we do your adjustments, and then how that relates to different things that you may notice in your life, different emotional patterns, different stresses. And so these are all things that you really want to be conscious and aware of, because a lot of these types of things aren't things that we talk about that often, but people will ask us questions and wonder, why did I feel really depressed after that adjustment? Or why did I feel really sad? Why did I cry after that adjustment? Why did I laugh after that adjustment and I couldn't stop laughing? So we want to give you some of that information. I want to go over some of that kind of the theoretical or the philosophy, some of that information that it gets a little bit technical. So if I'm going over something and I've just lost, do you raise your hand or something so I have an idea? Because there's a lot to go through with this whole class. And so what I wanted to just start out with is one of the reasons that we go through this information is because the research on Network has shown repeatedly that people's level of wellness and their quality of life expands tremendously when they go through this process. And so what we mean by that, the University of California Irvine Medical School did a huge study on Network several years ago now. They actually looked at about 3,000 people that were under Network care. And they found that 78% of those people had huge changes in their quality of life. And I'm talking about, when I say that, everything from how their body handled stress, like physically handled stress, emotionally handled stress, how people's physical symptoms improved, how their level of life enjoyment improved, how their self-esteem improved through this process. And what they found again was it was 78% of people that noticed changes in every single one of those categories. That's huge. The reason we know that that's such a big deal is because when most people think of think about your neighbor, or I don't know, your friend that maybe, how do most people think about how they're going to change their life, or do they even think about that? But most people in our country use drugs or pharmaceuticals as a way to alter their life experience. And you can think about, they might use painkillers, they might use antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, things like that. And they might think of it as just changing a particular symptom, but really what they're trying to do is change their quality of life by using that drug. Well, having a group of 78% of people out of a group of 3,000 people have significant changes in their quality of life is huge compared to the results of any one of those drugs. And if you've been to the level 2 class, I always use Prozac as the example. When Prozac was introduced and it actually got approved by the FDA, it was a group of 18 people that they tested. Or I'm sorry, it was a group of 30 people. It was a group of 30 people that they tested, and it was 18 of those people. I'm doing that all wrong now. Okay, sorry, it's been a really long day. But it was a group of 30 people, and I think it was 20% of those people had a positive result, and then the placebo was at 15%. So when you look at those statistics, that was what was able to get Prozac on the market. Think of how many people are on that drug, how many people try to change their quality of life by taking a drug or a similar drug to that. And so that was just such a small group. That's such a common pharmaceutical study that gets approved by the FDA. And you think about that and how many side effects that has. So I'm amazed every time I turn on the TV, and I try not to most of the time, because you even listen to one of those drug commercials, and what do you hear after the great things that it can do for you, but then you might have diarrhea, you might die in your sleep, I don't know, all this whole list of things that are terrible that could happen to you because of that. So having all these changes in such a large group of people was absolutely huge. The study was on the cover of a journal. And so I always kind of find it entertaining when people say, oh, I've never heard of Network. Well, it's actually in the scientific and the research fields, Network is huge in terms of how it's being studied and how it continues to be studied because of those types of results that it produces. And so when they further went on to do this study, what they looked at then was that if people are doing Network and these great changes are happening, what's the difference between people who don't do Network care, but maybe they exercise? Or people that don't do Network, but maybe they eat well. They do healthy dietary changes. And what they found is that the people that were under NSA care had 3 times the level of wellness than the people who just did something else. So why do you think that would be? That, I mean, what that's basically saying is that someone who looks incredibly fit, or maybe eats nothing that tastes good, and they are very strict with their diet. What that's saying is that that person, compared to the person in network care, is nowhere near the level of quality of life. Why do you think that would be? Any theories? Well, think about it. When we're doing your adjustments, what we're influencing is your nervous system. And your nervous system controls every single aspect of your life. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is all these different patterns and things that can show up in the nervous system, and then how that would play out in your life. But if you're influencing the nervous system, it literally influences your ability to feel positive emotion, your ability to move, to have quality of life with just being able to do the things that you want to do. But literally it can change someone's consciousness. And so that's what we're going to go through a lot about that information tonight.